The first big transfer of Real Madrid. Salah's new club will surprise many. Is Barca ready to let Olmo go? Chelsea signs Guehi. Manchester United is preparing a major swap deal involving Rashford for a Napoli star. All this and much more in today's episode. If this video gets 500 thumbs up, it will motivate us to keep creating new video. So, enjoy watching and let's get started. Against all odds, Barcelona are still clinging to the hope of registering their new signings, Dani Olmo and, get this, Pau Victor. Can you even imagine the scale of this mess? The deadline's gone, Finito waved goodbye, and they're over here with this genius idea like, hey, we sold VIP boxes at the Camp Nou for a cool 100 million euros, so La Liga, budge up. Apparently, in their minds, that magically solves all the financial issues. You got to hand it to them, they've got confidence. Frankly, we're not really buying it. Seriously, folks, this is La Liga we're talking about, not some charity. Although, who knows, maybe Laporta's got an ace up his sleeve, but right now, the situation looks, to put it mildly, tense. And here come the other clubs jumping into the fray. Sevilla and Atletico Madrid, the whole gang basically, have dug their heels in. Apparently, they're a bit twitchy about Barca's sheer audacity. And you can see their point, can't you? It smacks of a not-so-level playing field, you know? It's like there are rules for some, and for others, well, you get the picture. So, these unhappy campers are already putting the pressure on Javier Tebas, demanding a thorough investigation into all these Catalan financial shenanigans. And rightly so, in my opinion. Otherwise, what's the point? We can just pay when we want, sell VIP boxes at the last minute, and they get away with everything? That's not on. But the really interesting bit is that these clubs aren't just whispering in corners. Nope, they're ready to go all the way, right up to legal escalation. They're threatening to take it to court to get the league results declared invalid. And you know what? They've got grounds to make those kinds of threats. Think back to past situations where similar stuff was handled way more harshly. And if they make an exception for Barca now, then, frankly, all this financial fair play stuff is worthless. Personally, I think this is a fundamental moment for the whole Spanish league. Either the rules are the same for everyone, or it just turns into a circus. And the stakes are high, not just for Barcelona, but for La Liga itself. The outcome of this saga could set a precedent for the future. And for Joan Laporta, this is like a kick in the teeth, to put it bluntly. If this registration falls through, it'll be another blow to his reputation and the club's financial strategy. He's already got enough questions hanging over him, and now this. By the way, if the press is to be believed, Barcelona aren't just sitting around hoping for a miracle. They're trying to prove something, trying to convince the league to reinstate someone to one rule. If they manage that, they can register the new players as planned. So they are scrambling, doing everything they can. They are saying they actually have the money, but it's somehow stuck due to banking procedures. Apparently, the box sales went through before December 31st, but you know how banks are with holidays. So the payment only went through on January 3rd, which is why they missed the deadline. Well, what can you say? It's certainly an interesting story. Let's see if they can pull it off. However, even if the league says no again, rumor has it that Barca are already cooking up some sneaky plan B. Apparently, they're ready to terminate Olmo and Victor's contracts for 6 months so they can join other clubs. And then, in the summer, they'd rejoin Barcelona as free agents. What a crafty move. If it's true, of course. But as they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and clearly their legal team earns their keep. So basically, the whole situation is a complete detective story. Intrigue, scandals, investigations, and how it all ends. Well, only Tebas probably knows for sure. According to reports from Court Offside, Manchester United are considering selling Antony as early as January. The winger, who was acquired for £86 million, could leave the club for a significantly lower fee. Amidst Manchester United's unstable results since the beginning of the season, this move appears logical. Initially brought in by Erik ten Hag, Antony showed some promise, but the situation changed with the arrival of Ruben Amorim as manager in November. The new coach has practically stopped fielding the player. Antony has had to adapt to a new role as a wingback, a defender with attacking responsibilities. This season, he has only made 4 substitute appearances in the Premier League, a stark contrast to his previous role as a winger where he shone at Ajax. Rumours of his dissatisfaction with the situation have been circulating for some time. According to insiders, Antony is ready to move to another club to get playing time. At 24 years old, he is in his prime and doesn't want to waste time on the bench. Manchester United will incur losses from the sale, but the club urgently needs funds to strengthen the squad in January. Selling players is a necessary measure. Real Betis have expressed interest in taking Antony on loan with an option to buy, according to the Times. This is not surprising given the player's potential. However, a loan is not the most advantageous option for Manchester United, who need money here and now. Their league form leaves much to be desired, with only a few wins in 19 matches. A problem lies in Antony's high salary, €12 million per year. Betis are unlikely to cover the full amount, but even partial compensation would be a relief for the Red Devils. Antony might have to accept a pay cut, but that's better than remaining on the bench. His ambitions and enthusiasm have collided with reality. A move to Betis could be a chance for him to restart his career. Besides, Betis, Ajax, Juventus, Benfica and Newcastle are also reportedly monitoring Antony's situation. However, these are just talks so far, without any concrete offers. Manchester United are clearly waiting for real money. Ajax and Juventus are considering a loan, but have not made any official moves. The unfortunate aspect of this whole situation is that Antony's sale has become a key factor in Manchester United's January transfer plans. In the absence of offers, the club can only wait. The situation is complicated by financial difficulties, Antony's absence from the starting lineup, and the team's generally unconvincing performances. Perhaps a move to Spain, with its more attacking style of football, would benefit Antony. In the current situation, Amorim's tactics seem to be to blame. Manchester United need a manager capable of properly defining the team's direction. Can United return to their previous level? Is this quick decision to offload Antony justified? Will they recoup their investment? And who will ultimately sign him? Manchester City have reportedly set their sights on Omar Marmoush from Eintracht Frankfurt. And this guy, just a quick reminder, is only 25 years old, and he's already made a name for himself in the Bundesliga and the Europa League. Looks like Pep is tired of his team's setbacks and is looking for fresh blood, new game changers capable of restoring City's status as the dominant force in the Premier League. The Daily Mail whispers that Marmoush is one of the Citizens' main targets in the winter transfer window, and if the rumours are to be believed, City isn't the only giant who's got their eye on this Egyptian pharaoh. Barca, Liverpool, Man United, and even Arteta's Arsenal are already chasing him. Can you imagine that battle of the titans? That's going to be an intense competition. As they say, first come, first served. Marmoush himself is currently brushing off these news stories and stating that he wants to continue showing his class at his current club, Eintracht. Yeah, he's doing the right thing, no need to get ahead of himself. And it's understandable, considering he still has plenty of time left on his contract, earning £25,000 a week. But let's be honest, an offer from the most dominant club in English football is no joke. The chances of winning trophies skyrocket. It's a tough thing to turn down, even if you're super loyal to your club. So, as reported in the media, Eintracht, while not eager to let go of their player, has already put a price tag on him, £50 million. This is because they fear that without Marmoush, their chances of qualifying for the Champions League will drastically decrease. Well, naturally, who wants to lose a player who makes the difference in crucial matches? Adding to this whole story, Liverpool might also join the fray. There's a rumour going around in the press that they are trying to convince Salah to sign a new contract, and if not, we all know that Marmoush is on their shortlist. It seems that Manchester City has a real chance of snatching Marmoush. This is because Newcastle and Man United simply have money problems. FFP is keeping a close watch, and if PSG joins this party too, then it will turn into a real Wild West, a battle of the wealthy owners. Eintracht, by the way, has already started to stir and is looking for potential candidates to replace Marmoush just in case, as his loss would negatively impact their results. And why is City so confidently pursuing Marmoush? Because they like his versatility in attack. The Egyptian can play practically any attacking position. Whether on the wing or as a striker, he's a jack of all trades. In my opinion, it's high time for Pep to shake up his squad, especially the attack, which seems to have gone stale. Perhaps Marmoush will be the key to restarting the blue machine. We'll see how the clubs resolve everything in the coming months. As practice shows, the most interesting part of a transfer saga is often the most agonizing. As they say, we'll be watching and catching up on the latest rumors. What are your thoughts on this? Right now at Anfield, it feels like either a celebration or a wake. Honestly, it's hard to tell. On one hand, Mo Salah is having an absolutely phenomenal season. He's carrying Liverpool like a workhorse, probably in the best form of his entire time at the club. And the goals, my word, the goals. Hats off to him. But on the other hand, his contract is set to expire this summer. Just 6 months left. And so far, silence. The Merseyside faithful seem to be in complete shock because come the summer, Salah could walk away for free. So here we are, January 1st, the transfer window is open and the Reds are finally scrambling to make a move. Salah, my friends, can now officially negotiate with any club outside of England if he doesn't have a new Liverpool contract in hand by June. And who's the one club that loves snapping up players left and right? That's right, Paris Saint-Germain. PSG is already making their move on the Egyptian king, reportedly offering him some insane numbers. The French giants are ready to hand him £415,000 a week in wages. Let that sink in. A week. And here comes the funniest part. Liverpool, true to their frugal reputation, have countered with a generous offer of £330,000 a week. Yes, also a weekly salary. But instead of the 3-year deal PSG is putting on the table, Liverpool's offer is for just 2 years. Like, come on Mo, you're already 32, you'll be 33 this summer. What do you need all that money for, Grandpa? I have no idea what Salah will ultimately decide, but it's clear that this situation is deeply uncomfortable for Liverpool, and especially for their owners, FSG. Do you see where this is heading? I can't help but imagine a catastrophic scenario. Do the club's American owners really have the guts to let their crown jewel slip away for nothing? Or will they fork out the cash to keep him around, even if it means shelling out £3 million a month to a player in his mid-30s? Let's be honest, Liverpool isn't exactly known for throwing money around on wages. At the same time, Salah is still the man driving this team to success. Replacing a star of his caliber would be insanely expensive. Any top-tier player these days costs as much as a wing of a Boeing jet, and even then, whoever they bring in would have to maintain Salah's level of impact and avoid disappointing the fans. Plus, there's no guarantee that any new signing, no matter how talented, could seamlessly slot into Liverpool's system the way Mo has. FSG has already shown some flexibility in how they manage the club by reportedly offering Salah a massive new deal, something that goes against their usual conservative strategy. Liverpool already pays Salah more than anyone else at the club, £350,000 a week. Extending his contract will mean topping that. Isn't this madness? FSG might ask. He'll be 35 by the time the new deal ends. But the cold, hard truth is that Salah is simply too valuable, too good to let go. Surely they can't just let him slip away to those soulless oil-backed giants in Paris. Fortunately, there's still another path for FSG. They just need to believe in Salah and break their old rules. Liverpool's owners need to imagine this. Mo Salah leaving the club in 2.5 years, not only as the Premier League's all-time top scorer, but also as Liverpool's greatest ever goal scorer. That sounds far better than the alternative. Salah leaving this summer still in his prime to join the oil-rich French league. At least he's not going to the Saudi-backed clubs in England yet. What do you think? How will this saga end? Will Salah stay and cement his legacy at Liverpool? Or will he head off to Paris dressed in PSG's colours? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So, word on the street is that Rashford might be packing his bags and waving goodbye to old Blighty. Where to? Well, rumours have it that the lad's being lured to the MLS, the land of, shall we say, big opportunities and even bigger paychecks. Just picture it, Rashford, shining not on English pitches, but somewhere in Miami or Los Angeles. Pretty cool, right? But hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Just a reminder, Marcus has hinted that he wouldn't mind a change of scenery and trying something new. You know how it is, sometimes you just need to shake things up, take on a new challenge. And honestly, after things didn't quite click for him with Amorim, especially after Sir Jim Ratcliffe's arrival, this option seems pretty realistic. If the press is to be believed, then after Rashford's public statement about being ready for a new challenge, MLS clubs have already perked up their ears and are ready to make him an offer that's, as they say, hard to refuse. But here's the kicker. Rashford, as we mentioned before, seems to be leaning more towards staying in Europe. Plus, he's still got 3.5 years left on his contract with United, and the salary there is, to put it mildly, nothing to sneeze at. Up to £375,000 a week with bonuses. The Red Devils, of course, are unlikely to let him go just like that. But, more likely than not, If Rashford does decide to leave, it'll give them more room to strengthen the squad before February 3rd. And boy, do they need it. As for Marcus himself, he seems to be desperately trying to get his career back on track. After a less than stellar period under Amorim, when he was, so to speak, warming the bench, a move to MLS would certainly be a big surprise for him. Although, who knows, Rashford enjoys spending time in the States and, they have a way of being persuasive over there. Manchester United would probably prefer to sell Rashford outright, but there's a chance they might consider loan offers if it suits all parties. Rumour has it, Rashford has even hired a top-notch sports agency to boost his chances of a move. The guy is clearly aiming to leave Old Trafford, and clubs are already closely monitoring the situation. We find it hard to believe that United will just let Rashford go without a fight. Selling him, of course, won't be easy unless they're willing to lower the price. The Devils are asking for a whopping £50 million for him. And as for completely freeing up the wage bill, that's a whole other story. Just imagine how much money that would free up for Amorim in his first transfer window. Honestly, we think this situation is going to have some serious repercussions down the line. And now for the cherry on top. There's talk that Rashford could be used as a bargaining chip in a deal to bring Victor Osimhen over from Napoli. Yes, you heard that right. Osimhen has been on United's radar for a while now, and now it seems Napoli are interested in Rashford. Both clubs would benefit from the deal. United values Rashford at £60 million, while Osimhen has a release clause of £62 million. The Nigerian, by the way, is also not on the best of terms with the management in Italy. And here's where it gets really interesting. Antonio Conte, Napoli's boss, is reportedly open to taking Rashford in and sending Osimhen to United. To strengthen the attack, so to speak. It's a cunning plan, you have to admit. What do you think about this? Where will Rashford end up? And what do you think of this potential swap deal for Osimhen? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Alright, so according to reports in the press, it seems like Liverpool are seriously considering the search for a new striker. And you know who comes to mind first when we talk about strengthening the attack? That's right, someone whose main job is to score goals. But let's just say, things haven't been going so well in that department for Darwin Núñez. I mean, it happens. The guy tries hard, takes his shots, but it's either the post, wide of the goal, or something clumsy altogether. To put it mildly, he's been struggling. As a result, it looks like Arne Slot and his team are looking toward a more reliable finisher. And then comes the news about Milan's interest in Darwin. The Italians seem open to taking the Uruguayan on loan until the end of the season. Well, let's see what comes of it. Maybe a reset in Italy could help him get back on track. Either way, Liverpool doesn't appear to be sitting idle. Now here's where it gets interesting. Enter Alexander Isak from Newcastle. The Swedish forward is the real deal. Technical, fast, with a killer shot, he's got it all. Most importantly, he consistently finds the back of the net. And not just any goals, he scores them beautifully and reliably. No wonder there's a queue of clubs interested in him. Liverpool certainly aren't alone in this race. By the way, rumour has it that Isak himself might be open to a change of scenery. Remember how Newcastle burst into the top tier of English football with Saudi investment? Well, it seems Isak was expecting a more rapid rise from the Magpies. He wanted to fight for the highest honours, not just stay afloat, Honestly, you can't blame him. When you're promised mountains but get, let's say, rolling hills instead, anyone would feel a little disappointed. And that's where Liverpool comes in. A club that consistently fights for titles and competes in the Champions League. An ideal option for an ambitious striker, don't you think? But then there's the issue of the price. Transfermarkt values Isak at €75 million. But I have a strong feeling Newcastle won't let him go for anything less than €100 million. Especially now, during the winter transfer window. You know how it is, it's the middle of the season and clubs aren't exactly eager to part with their key players. Plus, Newcastle really need Isak themselves at the moment. That said, I'll tell you this. The situation with Isak is like a litmus test for Liverpool. It'll show just how serious they are. Are they really willing to splash out for a truly top-tier striker? Will they take the gamble? Personally, I really hope they do. Because, with all due respect to Núñez and Jota, the team needs a killer in attack like Isak, someone who doesn't just create chances, but finishes them with confidence. So the whole Isak to Liverpool situation has turned into a real transfer saga. Can Slot convince the club's management to make such an expensive purchase? Will Isak himself agree to move to Anfield? And what will ultimately happen to Darwin Núñez? At this point, there are more questions than answers. What about you? What do you think? Does Liverpool need Alexander Isak? And what should they do with Núñez? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss. It seems Chelsea are ready to shake up the transfer market once again, and this time their sights are set on Crystal Palace's Marc Guéhi. Here's the story. Guéhi, a Chelsea Academy product, left for Palace a couple of years ago for £18 million and, frankly, has been absolutely killing it there. The guy's matured, gotten stronger, and become a real rock at the back. It's no surprise that Liverpool, Newcastle and Manchester United have all taken notice. But, and this is a big but, all these clubs seem to have decided to hold their horses and not splash the cash until the summer. Chelsea, however, appear unwilling to wait. Now, the Blues already spent a pretty penny in the summer, for example buying Pedro Neto from Wolverhampton for £54 million. If the press is to be believed, Chelsea's bosses wouldn't mind bringing their academy graduate back, especially since Enzo Maresca sees the defence as a weak link, and Guéhi could be the solution to that problem. You might ask, why not? Chelsea, as we know, are not short of money, and if they want him, they can easily outbid any other offer. Also, they have the advantage, as mentioned earlier, that they do not have to wait until February 3rd to spend money. The kid's ambition is pretty clear, but he also knows that competition for a starting spot at any of these top clubs will be fierce. Last summer, the Eagles slapped a £75 million price tag on him to scare off any potential suitors. However, whispers around the league suggest that Palace might now be willing to compromise and let Guéhi go either now, in January, or in the summer. Considering his contract expires in 2026, the price could actually drop. It seems unlikely in this situation that Palace will dig its heels in and stubbornly refuse all the offers. That said, there's a rumour going around that Guéhi himself is leaning towards Liverpool. But who knows what's really going on in his head? Maybe Chelsea will make him an offer he can't refuse. The return of the prodigal son, you know. Or maybe he'll decide that another year at Palace won't do him any harm. It's hard to say. What do you think? Will Guéhi make a return to Chelsea? Something tells us this isn't a done deal, and we're in for an interesting continuation of this story. In short, Real Madrid isn't backing down from their pursuit of Saliba. And this isn't just a rumour. According to the Spanish outlet Sport, Los Blancos are planning to make a record-breaking offer for the Frenchman. Saliba's reputation as one of Europe's best defenders is reaching new heights, and Madrid is prepared to put at least £83 million on the table for him. If the deal goes through at that price, Saliba will easily surpass Harry Maguire, whose £80 million transfer fee remains unbeaten to this day. In short, Real Madrid is chasing the best defensive talent on the continent. By the way, their interest in Saliba isn't random. This guy has had 2 absolutely stellar seasons with Arsenal. That's why Real Madrid is so desperate to sign him. I'm sure many of you have noticed that William has become a key figure in Arsenal's defense. And, by the way, he's only 23 years old. But here's where things get really interesting. Real Madrid has already held preliminary talks with Saliba's camp and received the green light. However, as you know, that's far from the end of the story. Arsenal isn't exactly eager to part ways with their top defender, and Saliba himself recently said that he feels at home at Arsenal. As you know, Mikel Arteta views Saliba as an essential element of his defensive strategy. Saliba and Gabriel form one of the best centre-back partnerships in the Premier League. Arteta is pleased with his defenders' performances, and PSG's summer attempt to sign him for €95 million was already rejected. Arsenal isn't planning to let their hero go easily, and Saliba himself still hasn't won any major trophies with the club. So, the player certainly has the motivation to stay. But Real Madrid isn't giving up. David Alaba isn't the same player he was a few years ago, Rudiger won't last forever, and Militao is recovering from a serious injury. This is why Real Madrid is so desperate to sign a new centre-back, and Saliba, with his youth and potential, has become their #1 priority. Just imagine, Los Blancos are willing to offer more than £83 million for the Frenchman. And if the sum reaches that mark, it will be very difficult for Arsenal to resist. However, as we all know, money isn't everything in football. A player's motivation and the club's desire to keep them are also crucial factors. So this time, we'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. What do you think? Will Arsenal let Saliba move to Madrid, or will they stand their ground? Or perhaps William will decide on his own that he needs a new challenge. Either way, this will undoubtedly be one of the hottest topics of the summer transfer window in 2025. All in all, let's remember, football transfers are often surprising and unpredictable. As for Saliba, he has a brilliant future ahead of him. And who knows, maybe we'll soon see him wearing the iconic white jersey of Real Madrid.